My name is Claude Monet. I was a very famous French Impressionist artist working in the late 1800s. I was particularly interested in the effect of light on objects, and I worked outside to capture light and reflection. The marks I made with paint were shaped like dashes and commas. Georges Seurat went on to develop a painting style that used dots and dabs of paint. It was called pointillism. This stippling style is similar.
Before I start in pen, I'm sketching out in pencil. I'm making sure that I get the outline so I know the area I'll be working in. I'm marking in some of the main features before I start in fine liner. For this stippling task, you can use pencil or pen of any kind, or actually any colour. Sharpies work well. The finest Sharpies I find are the best for this. You've got to be a little bit careful that they don't bleed into the page. So I'm using a fine liner for this task. I need to point out that I am actually drawing individual dots. I'm dabbing on the page. It's a very nice pen I've got, so I'm not stabbing it, I'm dabbing it. But it does take a lot of time. This whole task took me well over an hour. If I'd used a bigger pen, it maybe would have been a quicker task, or maybe a smaller drawing, but the amount of dots required to fill the space took quite a long time to do. However, for those of you who enjoy art, headphones and music is really quite a nice way to go with this, and actually you can dot along with the music. The trick is to concentrate more dots into the darker areas, so I keep working back over those areas. I was noticing that there was a very faint pattern on the apple, and it was allowing me to sort of emphasize the almost stripes running up and down the apple. One benefit with this technique is because it's so slow to work on, you get a chance to evaluate the progress as you're going, usually before you overwork an area. But notice how I keep changing the place that I'm working in. I keep dotting around. I keep looking for the darker areas. I'm quite literally dotting around the page. The darkest areas on the apple are around the stalk. So at the base of the stalk there's quite a dark area. So that's going to need to be worked over quite a lot of times. Then there's a shadow cast by the stalk. In fact, there's two shadows. I have two lights in the room, so it's casting two shadows on either side of the stalk. So those areas are going to need darkening. To make an object look rounded, usually you find that the edges of the object are dark. Certainly some of the sides are, depending on the lighting. And I noticed there was quite a dark area, particularly to the side where there's the darkest shadow around the apple. There are shines on the apple too, so I'm being careful not to dot those. I'm leaving them out. Now bear in mind your viewpoint is slightly different from mine. The shines that you're seeing aren't exactly the way I was seeing them. But you can see the area there, that circle, it's almost a sort of a bash in the side of the apple, which has created a flat, faceted area. So I'm darkening around that and leaving the centre of it light. The shadow cast on the table to the right of the apple was quite tricky. I knew that was going to take me a lot of time because it's quite a big area of shade, so I kept going back to that each time, darkening the side of the apple but working into the shadow too. So all the time I'm stepping back from it, looking at those lights and darks to check that the object I'm creating is a rounded object. Does it look 3D on the page? Because that's the effect that I'm trying to achieve. It might be worth timing yourself on this exercise as well. As I said, for me, this took a long time, a lot longer than I expected it to. I hadn't really noticed the time. It was when I stopped the recording when I realised it was well after an hour. But it's quite therapeutic. Making dots is quite a pleasant experience, although it does get a bit tedious after a while. There are some artists that use stippling in all of their work, and actually I can appreciate the amount of effort that goes into that now. You can experiment with a range of different colours as well, and the outcome's a little bit like the Seurat painting that I showed you right at the start of the video today. So to clarify, the task today is to use the stippling technique to draw a rounded form, like an apple, an orange, or an onion, for example, and try and capture that form using dots. And don't forget to email your work to your teacher. We look forward to seeing it.
That work is c'est bon, Mrs. Kester. Magnifique. Remember, I am Claude Monet, the most famous artist in the world. Go to any gallery and try it. Just say to them, "Show me the money! Show me the money!" And they'll probably have one.